welcome to another edition of the Gringo Show. Glad to have you back with us. A lot of news happening this week, so let's get right to it. Many of you watch us from the peace and quiet of small, quiet towns or at beaches such as Rosarito, Chapala, Vallarta, San Miguel, and I'm sure Mexico City would have been the last place you wanted to be last weekend because it was nuts. And I'm going to tell you a tale of two ciudades de Mexico. The good. The city was electric this weekend with the strange conglomeration of the F1 race, Dia de los Muertos, and our great American import, Halloween. Hotels were fully booked, traffic was at a standstill, and the city was at its maximum capacity. The final of the F1 was on Sunday as Checo Perez raced with a number of fine young Europeans, as many hoped he'd win the race for the first time in his home country. The race was largely uneventful. I was worried that the race cars would be slowed down by green paseros and random people sweeping the track with incredibly large brooms, just in time for Halloween. Or the random guy in the right lane waiting to pick up his abuela. I'm picking up my abuela, leave me alone. She's an abuela. None of that happened. Checo got third place, everyone was happy. Even Claudia Scheinbaum got in the festivities by drinking champagne and eating caviar, huh? But I'm sure in her mind, she was like, I'd rather have tacos de canasta and cueritos. Okay, elections. On Saturday, there was an intersection of Halloween and Dia de los Muertos. Some got their face painted with the Catrinas with top hats and suits, and others dressed as slutty school teachers, which I could find at least 5 things wrong with. And also cute, delicious lobsters, I might say. Cute, yeah. And this is great for the city. A lot of desperately needed tourism money coming in, a lot of orange flowers sold, and we're presenting the diverse beauty and culture to foreigners, a huge win. But if I hear one more time, we want to do Day of the Dead, I am going to lose it. See, this is the problem with Americanization and commercialization of pretty much everything anyone can get their hands on to make money. James Bond sensationalized Dia de los Muertos in 2015, and then Coco grabbed it in 2017. Now people want to come see it. For those of you who are from or have lived in Mexico a long time, it is not something you do or get invited to. There's no party. The family gathers to remember their abuelo who kicked the bucket 20 years ago. And they make a table and put his favorite cigarettes or pan dulce on it, and maybe his secret mistress makes an appearance. Comadre? And they go to the cemetery and bring beautiful flowers and light candles to remember their family members. There's no DJ, nor do you go to grandma's grave wearing a horse Santa costume. It's not the Mexican Halloween. Halloween, ghosts and goblins, candy corn and apples filled with razor blades. Dia de los Muertos, real dead people. But then when we get a little capitalism involved and people are walking around the city in flower crowns, look, I'm not hating. I'm not going to change what is happening. But a little awareness from a gringo who has been here a very long time to other gringos who have been here for a few months, being a part of Mexican culture is not a thing you can just do. Or I want a piece of it, I want to feel it, I want to be part of it. It's about getting to know people, making relationships, learning the language, going to a community meeting, being invited to events, and making a long-term commitment, and not just being a stop on the life train. And locals are starting to feel weird, and this is where the friction is happening in the communities. Then on Sunday night, thousands of motorcyclists raged the street, which was called a Rodada de Terror, in which they drove to the main roads of Mexico City, causing major gridlock and stopping public transportation for hours. The loud noise of the bikes woke children and caused a ruckus. Some said that they felt they were in one of the 25 versions of the Batman movie. Batman 14, Montezuma's Revenge. This is where Batman eats street food and then sits in the toilet for 4 days while the city loses control of motorcycles. There was virtually no police presence, and there were reports that some of the bikers were armed. It wasn't until after 10 p.m. that the police started to break it up. But before then, it gave us a preview of how this city would behave in anarchy. So this was a tale of 2 cities in our capital last weekend. Oh, and one other thing. Pachuca won the LigaMX championship on Sunday, and no one cared about it. No one gave a shit. They couldn't march in the Independencia because the motorcyclists and the Halloween people and the F1 people were there. In other news, the Mexican economy grew up 1% in the third quarter of this year, continuing a recovery from the COVID pandemic, even although inflation has slowed other economies. This is because of strong exports, and all I have to say is just buy more guacamole and cars that are made in Mexico and Christmas decorations. We sell a lot of them. This is also out there analysis this week that the Mexican peso is one of the top currencies among global emerging markets and is very attractive for investors, while other currencies like the euro and the pound are suffering with the strong dollar. Yeah, good financial news for a change. So let's celebrate with guacamole! Yay! And finally, we've been reporting about all this Dr. Simi hype, Dr. Simi everywhere, but no one really appreciates how hard it is to make sure the people who dress up as the famous pharmacy mascot to make sure they have their costumes intact. Leave it to great employees of Farmacias de Ahorro to help with this problem. I'm sure she was just fixing his belt, right? Like, get your mind out of the gutter. That does it for this edition of the Gringo Show. Thanks for staying with us. If you've enjoyed the show, please make sure you like us on Facebook or YouTube. We read the papers, watch the news, and scroll through social media to share with you what's happening right here in Mexico so you don't have to. Have a great week.
Gringo, Mexico is laughing thanks to you.